What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Stardust here. Welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel, and today we are going through some Marvel Spider-Man 2 leaks. Now, before we get into this, I do apologise about my voice. I am obviously not well. I've been having cough sweets all morning. I am pretty down in the dumps. So, if you did like this video, make sure to give it a like, make sure to share it around. I'd love to get 1,000 views on a Marvel Spider-Man video. That would be absolutely phenomenal. So let's hope we could do that right here. And as always, before we get into any leaks, there is such a solid chance these aren't real. I'm not going into these, as saying they're 100% going to happen, but they also could spawn ideas and they can spawn good conversation in the comments, so I still like covering them regardless. So let's go through it. So this is on gamestoday.info. Now, I did a video about this, about playable characters and stuff like that. And so check that video out where I talk about playing as Wraith, Yuri, to kind of get like an idea of what this is. But basically, in long story short, you would play as both characters. They each have their own outfits, and there'll be different parts of the story where you're required to play one or the other. Do you know what I mean? Venom will not be a playable character. However, Peter will don the black suit at some point in the game. I think that was pretty obvious. I think people kind of expected that, truth be told. Alongside Craven, but of course by the trailers you would have known that already. Venom will eventually leave Peter in favour of a stronger, better match at some point in the game. I don't want to say who they are though. I mean, they're probably pointing towards Eddie Brock. I said this on the podcast with Evan Falaka, that I don't see the point in Eddie Brock at all. It will make no sense. Yeah, it would be so shoehorned in, it wouldn't even be funny. Unless they change Eddie's character entirely, I just don't think they've got enough time to establish it with Eddie Brock. So, Peter's Iron Spider-like mechanical spider arms will feel a lot more like you're controlling the arms, rather than they're just attached to you. Unlike the Iron Spider arms from the first game, the new mechanical arms will also be completely made by Peter. Now, I don't know what this means. I don't know whether it's got you press the button a certain way, then the left arm hits, and then the right arm hits, or whatever. Maybe it just means it's got a bit of weight to them. But it does make sense for the mechanical arms to be made by Peter. Apparently, the mechanical arms are supposed to be combating the symbiote, because the symbiote Spider-Man outfit is supposed to, grow some arms. So that could be what sort of spawns Peter to want to do that. Finally, for the big reveals, the map is a lot bigger, including a lot more areas from NYC. Get ready to swing in a massive open environment. You'll feel like you're in New York City, swinging on buildings as Spider-Man. I definitely think that that's important. I mean, as much as everyone loves the first game's map, and I can definitely understand why, because I do as well. I totally sort of feel that the map eventually gets kind of too small. I guess once you've played it for a while, you start sort of seeing the same areas and that. So that'll be fun. Now for some less exciting stuff, but well-needed upgrades from the first game. Wall crawling has been improved. No more getting stuck on geometry. It's also been made moderately faster too. You also now have the options of wall crawling even faster with the mechanical arms while playing as Peter. You can now also stand on buildings with the aid of the mechanical arms while playing as Peter as well. Now, I understand why they've gone with the mechanical arms for Peter, because it differentiates between him and Miles. Because when you really think about it, Miles has got the camouflage, he's got the Venom blast. So, giving something to Peter to make him kind of equal grounding, I get it, right? It makes sense. Peter now has more air trick options thanks to the mechanical arms. I don't really see why the mechanical arms will advance his air tricks, just going to be honest. Both characters also have new access to ground tricks, one of my favourite being web skating on the back of driving vehicles. I could see them doing that. I think that would be really sweet. Maybe, you get higher points the longer you're able to do it without bumping into anything. Obviously, this is a new, bigger game, so all the animations have been refined, and there are also new animations too. There's also some more gadgets for both Peter and Miles to use. New web abilities have been added for both characters, and new enemy types to use them on have also been added. That seems a bit of an obvious one. I don't think that necessarily, could even be classed as a leak. I'm pretty sure everyone and their mum could have guessed that would have been the case. But this one's kind of interesting, and one that I'd like to touch up on in a video one day. Bosses are more strategy based rather than pattern based. Every time you land a few hits on each boss, they will switch up their ways, and there's something special you need to do to get hits on them again. Look, I'm gonna be honest, the bosses in Marvel Spider-Man were kind of bad, in my opinion. I think that I liked the Vulture and Electro one a bit, but it was still pretty much like, do this 3 times and it's done. I definitely think the bosses lacked variation, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in Marvel Spider-Man 2 to improve that greatly. Obviously, it was kind of similar in Miles, but, it felt kind of different. Like, the boss fight with Finn was a lot more entertaining, because she was genuinely actually at points quite not difficult, but she definitely packed a bit of a punch. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the leaks for Marvel Spider-Man in a nutshell. I do believe that's everything we've actually had so far. So, if you want to see more about Marvel Spider-Man, make sure to subscribe to the channel and all that beautiful stuff. And I will see you guys in a bit. Peace.